Hello class, this is Ferdino, your instructor for this subject. So this is going to be our first lecture video just to discuss to you the introduction to the subject. So I'll be checking the attendance based on the response that you will be posting on the comment section of this video. So it is important for us to acknowledge on the origin, historical background, and the basic movements in dancing. May it be dances, dance arts, or cultural dances or ballroom dances. It is important that we start with the basic. So now we will start with the concept and development of dance. So for this topic, you should be able to understand the historical background of dance. So later on, we will be discussing the origin of dance. Saan ba siya nag-start, how it started, until such time na dumating siya dito sa modern times. And then, second is, you have to create a routine using locomotor movements and non-locomotor movements. So, that will be part of our discussion later. From the earliest point in time of known human history, dance accompanied ancient rituals, spiritual gatherings, and social events. So this is very evident in our culture and in our society, diba? We have our own rituals that we are doing depending on what ethnicity or tribe we belong. It was described by dance sociologists and anthropologists as an aspect of human behavior, a nonverbal system of communication through which society itself is reflected. So, dyan din nagre-reflect sa dance na yan, nagre-reflect kung anong meron tayo in our society. As a transition of psychological state, spiritual pleasure, expression, performance, and interaction, dance became part of our system and our nature from the earliest moment of our existence. So, before pa, meron na talagang dance. Without uncertainty, dancing is still considered one of the most expressive forms of communications that we know. So that's how we communicate, by the use of body language. Since the earliest moment of our existence, far before the creation of new modern civilization, it served as an expendable way of expressing human thought and emotion. Kasi dati naman, di ba, wala pa tayong mga words, wala pa tayong mga language. So what we do is, we use our body movements in order to communicate with other people. Dance and human civilization have in fact coexisted since the ancient times. The history of dance closely follows the development of human race. As our civilization traveled through millennia, dance has become a more important tool for maintaining health, preserving social interactions, celebrating various events, honoring the gods and goddesses, and sustaining one's cultural heritage. So, it was being used for exercise, diba, to maintain our physical our physical health, and then preserving social interactions, diba. We also go to the clubs, diba, for socialization, and laging nandun yung existence ng dance, and then we celebrate various events. That's why we have our own rituals in order to celebrate the different events, festivities in our location, in our places, and as well as we use those yung mga ritual dances to honor our gods and goddesses, as well as to preserve our own culture. The tradition continued in ancient Greece, and dance was being used very regular and publicly. So, lagi na nilang ginagamit ito until such time na nag-open na rin yung kanilang theater, yung kanilang famous Greek theater during the 6th century BC. Of course, not all dances in those ancient times are intended for religious purposes. Hindi naman siya puro ritual, just to honor our gods and goddesses. So, ordinary people use dance for celebration, entertainment, and seduction. So, kapag may birthday, for example, dance is being used to celebrate that particular celebration. And then for entertainment also, and then for seduction. So, just in case na meron silang nagugustuhan na tao, they use dance in order to seduce that particular person. Okay, the arrival of Renaissance and new forms of styles brought many other any genre, kahit ano na. So, marami nang napasok na iba't ibang klase ng sayaw. So, yun dun siya na nag-start. Kaya nag-evolve na yung sayaw into different styles. Okay, we'll go now to the definition of dance. I'm sure people will have their own definition of dance. It will always depend on how the people look at it and how they perceive dance. Not all people like dancing, and maybe those people who doesn't like dancing would define it as irritating. Dance is irritating, or dance is death, or some may define it as hurting, painful, or some would say it as dance makes me sad. So, but for those who love dancing, may define it as happiness, or dance is life, or dance makes the world go around. So now, the first thing that you will do after watching this video is to post your own definition of dance. So without using the definition on Google, dictionary, or any books, such as yung mga dance is an art, expression of emotions, you have to post your own definition of dance. So I'll be waiting that post at the comment section of this video. But for our discussion, we will define dance as a movement set to music where there emerge organization, structure, and pattern. So those are the three things that are very important when we are talking of dancing. So it has to have the three factors: organization, structure, and pattern. So when we say organization, normally we are talking of company, federation, or an association. But here, when you say organization, it has to be systematic. We are talking of the movements. It has to be systematic. It has to be done at ease and pleasant to look at. So, kailangan maayos yung movements. It has to be organized. Okay? So, yung pangalawang factor natin is structure. When say structure, basically, we are talking of choreography. So, hindi lang tayo basta-basta gumagalaw. Kailangan mayroong choreography yung mga movements natin. And the last one is the pattern. So, when say pattern, you can see how the movements are being done. So, makikita mo kung paano siya in-execute, ano yung mga pinagdaanan ng steps na yon. Tapos, pwede mo siyang gawa ng literature. Ganon. So, makikita mo kung paano ginawa yung isang movement. So, when you say dancing naman, so, it is a means of expressing one's emotion. Ito, kung na lang ang pangkaraniwan, it is a means of expressing one's emotion through movement with the accompaniment of music. So, meaning to say, you are moving with the music. Pero, that is a definition that we usually see sa mga books, sa mga dictionary. But now, kahit wala siyang music, as long as it is being done, the movements are being done rhythmically and artistically, we call it as dance. For the next topic, we try to enumerate the classification of dances. Ano ba yung mga classification of dances? Kasi may mga different styles tayo. Before, they call it phases of dance programs. And then, it becomes classification of dance. There's may dance style. And minsan, tinatawag din nilang tawag dito, dance genre, yung mga ganyan. So, ano ba itong mga classification of dances? First, we start with ballet. So, I'm sure we are familiar with ballet, pero syempre, for a deeper meaning of ballet, medyo hindi rin tayo masyadong familiar. Some of us are not really familiar with that. Pero for those who were able to have training in ballet, of course, they are familiar with the deeper meaning of ballet. But for a discussion, ballet is comes from the Italian word ballare, meaning literally to dance. And it was first used to describe elaborate music, dance, mime shows, and put on for the mobility of Europe. So it is considered a theatrical dance in which a formal academic dance technique is combined with other artistic elements such as music, costume, and stage scenery. So for ballet, there are two types. We have the classical ballet and then the modern ballet, or sometimes they call it and usually pala kinatawag nila itong contemporary dance. So for classical ballet, medyo stricto siya in terms not only of the technique. So ibig sabihin may mga sinusunod na mga movements and it has to be executed properly. And then of course, yung damit nila, kailangan very strict sila sa damit. So, yung mga lalaki, nagsusuot sila ng mga tights, yung mga babae, nagsusuot din tights and tutu. And then, of course, yung mga dito yung ayos sa kanilang buhok. So, kailangan nakapusod yung mga yan. And then, yung mga lalaki, kailangan naka-brush up. So, very neat. So, very strict sila. And in order for you to be called as a ballet dancer, you need to be enrolled in a formal ballet school. Hindi basta-basta. So, hindi basta-bastang ballet school din. So, kailangan kwan yan, kilalang ballet school. So, for female dancer, alam natin, we call them ballerina, but for male dancer, we call them danseur, as in D-A-N-S-E-U-R. Okay, for the second type of ballet, we have the modern ballet or contemporary dance. So, ang mga pioneer nito, sila Isadora Duncan, yan, Martha Graham. So, yung mga technique na tinuro nila, so, yun yung mga ginagamit for contemporary dance. So, ang contemporary dance kasi is a fusion of different genre of dances katulad ng mga funk, ng jazz, ng pop, yan, kasama yan. Pero in terms of the execution of movements, the discipline that they are still using is under ballet because they point their toes, yung mga ganyan. So, maganda mga alignment, etc. Okay, so that is the number 1 classification of dance, ballet. Number 2. For number 2 naman, folk dance. Ayan. Alam na natin yung folk dance na yan. So, it is, ang tawag dito, it is a dance handed down from generation to generation. It is a traditional dance handed down from generation to generation. So, meaning to say, it is something that we inherited from our ancestors. Yan, yung mga sayaw na yan. So, minana natin yun sa ating mga ninuno. So, yan. So, yung folk dance, it talks about the beliefs, ano pa ba, tradition, the culture, the occupation, the religion, and what else? The religion of a particular region or place in a certain country, for example. So, yun. So, malawak din ang sakop ng folk dance. So, hindi lang siya basta ritual, hindi rin siya basta it more on the reflection of the people in a certain place or region. In folk dance naman, we have 4 kinds of folk dance. So, we have the Maria Clara Suite, and then we have the rural dance, Cordillera dances, and then the Muslim dances. For the Maria Clara Suite, usually, we define Maria Clara Suite. These are the dances we inherited from the Spaniards. Kaya nga sinasabi nila, ito yung mga sayaw ng maharlika. Ito yung mga sayaw ng mga mayayaman during the time of the Spaniards. Kasi minana natin sa kanila to. Kaya nga, ang mga suot nila noon, hindi pang karaniwang tagang nakabarong Tagalog, and then black pants, and then naka-ball gown yung mga babae, yan, naka-Maria Clara dresses, na kumikinang. So, yon ang Maria Clara. Ang kabaliktaran naman ng Maria Clara, itong pangalawa natin, which is the rural dances. Ito yung mga sayaw na nakikita natin sa barrio. So, mga damit nito, hindi siya masyado sa mga kinang-kinang. So, kami sa chino lang, yung mga parang magpapasaka, and then, pants, simpleng pants lang, parang pajama sa lalaki, and then, ayan lang, tapos may mga balintawak costume sa mga babae. So, yon. And then, sa pangatlong klase naman ng folk dance is the Cordillera dance. So, from the word Cordillera, these are the dances or ethnic dances from the Cordillera. And then, the last one is the Muslim dances. These are the dances from Mindanao. Of course, sa Mindanao siya nanggaling na sayaw. The third classification of dance is the creative rhythm. The creative rhythm is also known as fundamental rhythm or natural rhythm. So, like kung ina-explain ito na as ito yung movements na nakikita natin sa mga babies, di ba? So, kaya nga fundamental and natural yung usually ginagawa na yung mga close open, arimunding-munding. So those are creative rhythm. Okay? Then number 4. Number 4 naman, creative creative dance. From the word creative dance, creative, ibig sabihin, these are the dances being created by the choreographer. So using the creative minds of the choreographer, they were able to conceptualize and be able to create a new dance piece. So, dito sa creative dance ito, may mga styles na nakapasok dito, katulad ng pop, ng jazz, and the like. So, that is the creative dance. Number 5, recreational dance naman. These are the dances that are usually done in recreational places, sa mga clubs, sa mga pub houses, sa mga disco houses, mga ganun, etc. So, recreational dance. So, usually, mga kanila dito, ang example nila dito, yung mga, ang tawag dito, mga side dancing, like mga LA walk, mga ganyan. Okay, then number 6, we have ballroom and social dances. So, ballroom and social dances naman, normally, yung mga ballroom dances that are not being used for competition, they call it social dances, because these are the dances or ballroom dances that are only used for socialization in certain social gatherings wherein yung mga participants are wearing formal attire. Pag ballroom naman kasi, this is also called as dance sport. Ang dance sport kasi is called as competitive ballroom dancing. Yan. So, this is being used for competition. So, kasi meron namang mga hindi ginagamit for competition, kaya sila nakapaloob sa social dances. Wherein, kapag kasama siya sa for an international dance sport competition, they call it dance sport talaga, competitive ballroom dancing. In a competitive ballroom dancing, there are 2 categories. We have the modern standard category, and then we have the Latin American dances. So, ito magagamit ito later on ng mga enrolled sa ballroom dances, as well as with the other classes such as dance arts and dances. So, sa latter part nila pag-aaralan yon. Pero, for the ballroom dances class, so magi-start na doon. So, again, as I have mentioned a while ago, there are 2 categories under dance sport or competitive ballroom dancing. First is the modern standard category, and second is the Latin American dances. For the modern standard categories, we have 5 dances under it. First, we have the slow waltz, and then we have the tango, we have the foxtrot, we have the Venice waltz, and then we have the quick step. Ayan. So, medyo magiging detalyado tayo dyan later on. And then, for the Latin American dances, there are also 5 dances under that category. Number 1, we have the samba, and then the cha-cha-cha, the rumba, the paso doble, and the jive. So, pareho siya, 5 dances per category. Okay. So, those are the classification of dances that is going to be part of our curriculum. Okay. Our next topic is going to be the locomotor and non-locomotor movements. A year ago, I made a vlog regarding this topic. So, in order for you to understand it better, there's a link above this video, and click it for you to be able to watch the vlog. So, from there, you will have your first physical activity. Yun yung first na practical test ninyo. So, you will be later, I will be making another video for the said activity, kung ano yung mga ano yung gagawin nyo dun sa activity ninyo, and then the mechanics and the guidelines that you have to follow. Okay? So, guys, if you have queries or response regarding this video, please share them to the comment section of this post. So, thank you, and God bless everyone.